Not really liking what I'm seeing with the new point contact cannon brace gauntlets for the Titan. Sometimes new exotics come in really hot, sometimes not at all. Now this exotic came in hot, enough to be disabled twice, then nerfed. And we're going to explore that nerf a little bit in today's video, but I mainly want to focus on how this exotic pretty much doesn't really have an identity. It's not good. It's in a weird spot, a bad spot. It's designed around Thunderclap, and that melee itself, very strong as a charged melee. You combine things like tractor cannon, debuffs, things like that, well mods, and more. And in the Crucible, it can be useful, very niche, like right here. I don't think that there was any other way to take out this Thunder Crash as they were coming in. But for the Crucible, let's be honest, the mobility of Shoulder Charge and the play potential of Ballistic Slam are really too good to pass up for most PvP players. To run Thunderclap over those, there's a lot to talk about, but in the end, I hope Bungie makes some adjustments to this thing. They didn't make this thing right somehow. But before we get into it, I would like to thank HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. It has more 5-star reviews than any other meal kit, and it makes cooking at home easy and affordable. They have seasonal recipes, use fresh pre-measured ingredients, and I recently made some flautas, and straight up, never made them before. They walked me through step by step, was really surprised at how easy they were to put together, and they were delicious. And as someone who sits at a desk for 10 plus hours a day, these were quick and easy to do. There's over 30 weekly options you can choose from, curated to you and your family or friends. There's meat and veggie, pescatarian, fit and wholesome, family friendly, or maybe that week you need something quick and easy. That's what I usually do. I really value those quick and easy meals. Now, the produce is sourced directly from farmers. It gets from the farm to your doorstep in under a week. The meal kits themselves are sustainable. The pre-portioned ingredients mean that there's less prep for you, less wasted food, and the packaging that the food is shipped in is already from recycled content ready to go. You can save time at the grocery store, save some money, eat well, and ease some stress. Don't be ordering food delivery services that cost $40-50. You get it, it's cold, and they're nowhere near as good for you. HelloFresh has an amazing deal for us. At the top of the description, use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGCoolGuySep16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes plus 3 free gifts. Don't miss out on this amazing deal that they have for us. The issues with point contact start to pile up. I'm going to walk through them. When it came out, it looked very good. It was doing some things in PvP that it shouldn't have been doing. At least it appears so, like getting kills behind the player. There's no real reason to dive into all that because it doesn't do any of those things anymore. What's important is right now, what it's doing now. So what it does, its exoticness, I guess, does put it in a severe identity crisis, enough to just blank it from your inventory. At least that's how I feel. We have Hammer of the Gods. Defeating targets with your Thunderclap restores melee energy. Okay, Thunderclap, it's got a base 1 minute 30 second cooldown at tier 3. At tier 10, it's 35 seconds, so a pretty fast cooldown for a pretty powerful melee. Of course, it does need to charge up, but it can put in some damage. So here we go with the fundamental issues. When you get kills with Thunderclap, with this exotic on, you get some melee energy back. On tier 10 here, the 35 second cooldown, it's giving like 10% or so, maybe a little bit more. The more enemies that you defeat with Thunderclap, the adds, the red bars, the more melee energy it gives. Now, the higher the tier of the enemy, yellow bar, ultras, boss even, it's gonna give more. And like right here, it takes out the yellow bar and a couple adds. I almost get the full melee charge back. So as you're playing, you get some kills. Keep in mind, again, we got wells, we got other avenues to get melee energy back, possibly heavy-handed. So sure, there's ways to do that. But on the other hand, we have the Insurmountable Skull. Kills with arc melee abilities trigger health regen and restores melee energy. So just for the simple use of this melee, Thunderclap, if I want to use it over and over, why not just use the Skull? I can charge the Thunderclap on higher tier enemies, and if I'm aiming for a higher tier enemy and collateral just one add, I get the full melee back. If not, I can just run around thunderclapping everything that I want. So as far as getting melee energy back, that isn't a real reason to use point contact. The sheer amount of back-to-back skull claps puts point contact in a weird spot for this portion of the exotic. And it's like, okay, well, what about the next part of the perk? That can possibly save it. We get the melee energy restored on the Thunderclap kills. Let's combine it with targets near you while you do your Thunderclap suffer lightning strikes. And being amplified increases the range of the lightning strikes. That sounds cool. Hammer of the Gods and all. The issue with these lightning strikes out of the gate is that they tickle. They do little damage. Like, I'm not even getting collaterals in general play in a regular Lost Sector. And if it's not downing them, what do you think is going to happen in a Nightfall? In a Legend Lost Sector? And even this right here, since it's not getting the kills, that means I'm not getting melee energy returned coming back to me from the other part of the exotic. They're just left there one shot. So it's like, okay, there's a little trick you can do with them. If you proc Knockout, you can use your regular melee. This is an interaction. Knockout is viewed as a charged melee. So now with Knockout up, I have the lunge distance. I have the more melee damage. And when I land that melee, it spreads a little lightning around. Not spinning my charge. I can still do the Thunderclap after. Granted, it's still tickling them when they get hit by the lightning, but the perk is procking. Technically it shouldn't be, but it is. I still have the charge melee to use if I want to. So hard stop. Now let's go to Dune Marchers. I don't even need a charged melee. I just run a little bit, it's gonna be up, and not only do I need that charged melee, it will actually chain and down adds that are surrounding my main target. Base level, low tier, general play adds, it will take them out. Something that point contact can't do. And I still have the Thunderclap charged melee to pair with a tractor cannon or whatever it is. So again, even though the little trick with knockout and point contact, that technically shouldn't even really be an interaction, it's still outshined by another exotic that does what it's trying to do better. So it must be in the end game, right? The last part of the perk. Being amplified increases the range of the lightning strikes. Now, getting this melee out to 15 or so meters, 16 meters, that's a lot of melee range. But the core issues are still there. You get little melee energy back. It's got extremely poor chaining and damage with what the lightning strikes do. It's a dud. Like, I haven't even gotten into Worm God with the regular Thunderclap. I don't really need to. The writing's on the wall. It's an exotic that's specific for one Titan melee on Arc, the Thunderclap. And it's not making Thunderclap any better, like at all. Those 3 exotics named, Worm God, Skull, Dunes, all are better with Thunderclap than Point Contact and Identity Crisis. And when it comes to the Crucible, all of that still stays true. The Lightning Tickles does little damage, and it's an issue when you can't even really tell that you have the exotic on, right? I know when I have Dunes on. I know when I have Worm God on, the Skull on. Point Contact, little to no difference. A lot of times I don't even know that I have it on. And those 3 exotics named still pair better with Thunderclap than Point Contact. But no doubt, the actual melee is strong. It can one-shot on a full charge from a distance. It has extra distance to reach enemies that are possibly trying to run away. Even on the short charge, it does, I think, 120 base damage. And the melee is designed where you need to be about 2 seconds ahead of what's getting ready to happen. That's how you play it. Make sure things are coming to you and then you unload it. And there's been so many times that I waste the melee. I'm sure that you have as well. But this exotic, amplified or not, it's going to be the same result as a base Thunderclap. Like, if you land the full wind-up one-shot, it's going to one-shot no matter what. If enemies are in a line, it's going to take them out too. But if they're surrounding, the lightning damage isn't enough. It's very weak. It's not noticeable. And I'm unsure if this is how it's supposed to be, because they were taken out twice, changed a little bit. It makes me wonder, is this how the base point contact is supposed to work? How it's supposed to be all along? Or is something off? An immediate thing that comes to mind, because it is one exotic for one melee on one subclass, a charged melee, Thunderclap, things come to mind like, why not make the melee charge a tad bit faster for this melee? Not broken faster, but make the damage ramp up just a little bit more, that we don't have to hold it down as long. You can make it to where it blinds on a hit, jolts on a hit. There's a ton of things to do. Make the lightning a little bit stronger, but as of right now, it has various things that the other exotics do, but it does it like a quarter strength of what the full exotic does. Melee regen, Skull, Chain, Dune, Damage, Worm God. And given the activity, the situation, you can pair Thunderclap with those 3 exotics and it will be better. And in the Crucible, same deal. I mean, if you're going for cheeky one-hit kills, the Thunderclap's there, but why not just do Thunderclap and like Kepri's Horn? I've played around with this exotic a good amount, and I just don't see it. I could be way off, I might have missed something. But with the builds that I've made, the loadouts, different areas of the game, I don't really recommend it. I can't recommend it. The lightning strikes in PvE are noticeable, but in a bad way. And in the Crucible, it's not noticeable at all. That isn't to say you can't get these to work, because you can. You can get a lot of exotics to work. No doubt, again, there's well mods, heavy-handed. You can build this thing to make it somewhat fluid, but you could put that same exact build together with the big 3 exotics that I went over as well. And that's what I recommend that you ultimately do. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. I'm sorry, Titans. Let's talk about this all down below. Was I way off base? Maybe I'm missing something. I'd like to know your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.